Ian,
Yes.
went to the movies last week.
So did I.
Had a grand old time.
Yep.
Got my ticket there. I got in early. I saw 10, I counted 10 previews for animated films. 10. There was a ton.
10?
There was about 10.
Where did you go?
Our place. Yeah. There was a ton. Well, I saw it.
Really?
Wasn't 5.
I saw it Wednesday night, and there was like maybe it was because it was late. There was 3 trailers.
It went for 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
I clocked it. But you know what? It was the Super Mario Brothers movie.
That's right.
That was delayed. It was announced like 6 years ago at this point, I believe. And it finally came out. Illumination. It was announced a long time. It was delayed like twice.
Yeah.
Illumination. The folks behind Despicable, Mr. Despicable Me, and the little yellow guys, the Minions. And I saw how my father loves the Minions, and like, I really like the Minions.
Minions. That's it. I was going to say Mighty Mites, and I think I got that in my head because of Mighty Mugs.
No, they're little Minions. They did this. They're one of the big, I want to say 3 or 4. There's DreamWorks Animation, obviously Pixar / Disney. There might be a 4th one. These are the 3 big animation companies. There's always gonna be lots of spoilers here.
Yes.
For nostalgic, it was like a 10 out of 10. For nostalgic overload, for references, for music, for incorporating little things that video game fans are gonna like, and us old ass millennials that would be like, wow, you put Kid Icarus in the game for some reason.
As a collection of moments and references and nods, as a collection of, if you just kind of think about it as like individual segments and almost like skits, it's a fun movie. It is. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself, and so did Vonnie. However, don't like. I mean, the structure of the movie is a skeleton. The movie's point was literally just to shove in as much Mario and Nintendo as they could into an hour, and I think only like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
I'm going to look on Rotten Tomatoes and see what the runtime is. Yeah, it's probably around less than an hour and a half.
And they did a really good job of that. But to do that, the story, for what it can be called, moves at an absolute breakneck pace, and things are just left behind without much, much thought.
The more I thought about this is a very strange movie.
Yes.
Very strange. I'm going to bring up this IGN article. Let me find it for it. There was an IGN opinion article that said, remember, this is a movie for kids. When I saw that, I was like, did they watch the movie I saw? Because while it was structured as a children's movie, there was so much adult-oriented content in this movie that I honestly thought it was 2 different writers at one time that were writing this. In my head, I was like, was this like cobbled together from 2 different scripts, or was there a massive rewrite to change this? Because there was so much in this movie that children would not understand or would go over their head with not even just the references, but some of the choices for the characters were adult oriented. Straight out, star of the movie was Jack Black doing Bowser.
Oh, he was great,
without a doubt.
I think Charlie Day and Keegan-Michael Key are very close behind.
They were good, but they did nothing in the movie. That's the problem.
Yes, they didn't. When you look at like I kept waiting for Toad to talk more, and like his script has got to be like 3 pages long.
He disappeared in the 3rd act,
and Luigi's just not there.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Bowser's characterization choice was obviously written for Jack Black. Like they had him in mind, because
clearly.
Which is why it was great. Which is why I said it wasn't for kids, because having Bowser act like
watch some Disney movies. There are lots of characters like that.
Okay, Bowser acting like a jealous high schooler, afraid that Peach won't like him. Doing the piano riff was brilliant. The piano riff, the song about Peach was great. What are you typing? I'm getting distracted.
I'm literally just going back and forth between my tabs and listening to you. Okay. It's a nervous thing.
But the reason I said it's not for kids, I counted 4 references to killing or death in this, straight out saying, I'm going to kill you. You're going to watch your brother die.
Yes.
That's not kids. Like when you watch an Illumination or like Pixar stuff, they don't say that stuff. They just don't. And I'll argue
with that. But lots of kid movies have.
Not in the past, not this generation.
When it comes to kids' movies, I feel like you do a discredit to youth a lot. You always say something's more adult than it is, but I think it's for kids.
It's been written out. It has been. Because I said, go watch a Toy Story movie Toy Story is more mature than these, but like you're not going to see threats of death in a Minions movie or Despicable Me. Keep Illumination, you're not for the most part.
Okay, if you're just talking Illumination, fine.
You're not. So that's where I said it was weird. Luma was not written for kids.
I love Luma.
That was not
Luma
written
Lee.
for kids.
Well, no, but there's lots of things in movies like this that are not written for
An
kids.
existential character pining for death and saying there's no point in living. That's not written for kids.
Well, no.
The structure of this movie was for kids.
Was very much for kids.
But the actual writing inside was not. Which is why it was strange.
It was interesting for me, and I came away feeling some of that. I think it was a lot of times you get these kids movies, say the Sonic movie or whatever, Sonic 2, where they're made for kids, but you get a lot of nods for adults. Okay. This seemed like it was definitely going for.
There's like nods to children, but written for adults almost at points.
The entire movie was total eye candy for kids, and they're going to love it. I don't think there's anything about the movie that's going to take away. I don't think anything is taken away from what the kids are going to get. I don't think it was too heavy-handed. I just think there was more than just a kids movie with nods to adults. I think they spent equal time focusing on both because they knew they were going to have a lot of people in the mid-30s, the mid-40s who wanted these old school references.
Sure, but
and kids aren't going to dislike those.
But basically making your villain, you're basically basing off of Tenacious D. That's not, like I said, like you're really going for the adults at that point. Like that you are. But which was fine. That, I said that's the best. That was literally Bowser was the highlight of the film to me.
He was great. He was fucking fantastic.
It was phenomenal.
Peaches.
What else was great? We'll go through before I get to the nitpicks. I'll go towards. Like I said, I enjoyed watching it, but looking back, the more I think about, like, this is weird. And when I see it next time, the nostalgia is going to be less and less feeling. It's going to be looking at what am I actually watching.
These are movies that I think are very good to watch one time and walk away from.
Sure.
And as much as I liked the Sonic movies, I haven't seen those again, and I don't need to. Because when you're in the moment and you're enjoying it, it's fine. But yes, the Mario movie, when like a couple days later, you think back on it, and you're like, yeah, that was still fun. But you're like, that was weird. That was strange. It was a good time, but it doesn't have any staying power.
No. This will not be seen as like a classic animated film down the line.
It's like I said, it's pretty.
It's made a ton of money. It was the biggest opening ever for an animated film.
I liked it. I enjoyed myself. I don't think the money was wasted, but yeah, it's a blip for quick culture.
Yes, like the Minions movies. People enjoy it, but they never think, well, that's a great movie on its own.
That's what that studio
they do that. Yes.
Specializes in.
Like the fucking karaoke series. Oh, animals singing. It's like, this is mindless.
Right.
This isn't as mindless as that, but it's like one tier above it.
They do a very good job of making things look good. But yeah, it is. It's just kind of mindless.
So let's talk about more that I like before we tear it apart. Not tear it apart, but
I'm
like
not gonna tear it apart. I liked the movie.
I loved the fact that they embraced the Italian American stuff with Mario and the family. Was not expected to see the family and the dead in the family. I loved that stuff.
That was weird, but I liked it.
I think it was weird.
It was just strange at first to see that he
has a family.
Yeah.
But it also made it seem like, how old is he? Is he like a 21-year-old with a mustache?
That's where my problem was.
That was weird. He's still living at home with his parents. Like, how old is he?
At some time, there were a couple points where it was like, are you trying to portray him as like a teenager with a full mustache? Because that's weird.
I mean, there is an Italian American thing in the Tri-State area about older guys still living with their parents until like their 30s, and it's weird. So I don't know if they were going there. That's a little inside baseball, because I'd known a couple of guys that were like that had the expensive cars but still live at home sort of thing. It's a whole meme. But that didn't shock me, but it was weird that they went in that direction where, wow, they're not like the Super Show characters where they're living on their own. They're adults.
Again, as a movie for kids, I feel like they put that in because they want to work into all these little heartwarming, like, family messages, friendship messages,
which they didn't hit, which I'll get to later in my nitpicks, which they failed to hit some of those. That was interesting. So apparently the NES exists in this world, which is cute, but weird, but it's still cute. I liked it. I
like that he was playing Kid Icarus.
I popped for Kid Icarus because most people, even in the audience, be like, what is this game?
Yeah, no, I love Kid Icarus.
Yeah, we popped for Kid Icarus. Chris Pratt was not as bad as I thought.
Nah, I don't like him, but he was fine.
He wasn't great at all.
He was fine. The definition of fine.
Yeah, the definition of Wonder Bread. But it was interesting how they even played upon that, because in the Mario ad, he does a Charles Martinet style voice.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, that's kind of silly. They played it out. I said, that's clever. They got it out of the way early. And then Charles Martinet shows up as Jumpman. The OG Mario playing a Jumpman cabinet in the Punch-Out Pizzeria. Loved all that. I popped for all of that. I said,
that was all
love
good.
that. I guess that was his cameo. It was supposed to be like the
Yeah.
OG Mario when he, before he became a child, apparently with a mustache, which is weird. I loved the plumbing sequence. It was an homage to basically the Three Stooges, The Plumbing We Will Go,
Yeah.
where everything goes wrong with them trying to fix the plumbing. Love that stuff. It showed the camaraderie. It showed them working together. And now we're going to go into my nitpicks. The fact that you did not show the brothers acting together in this movie and doing shit for 90% was, to me, a travesty when I saw it. The fact that I understand you don't want to have the princess be the damsel in distress. You want to change it up. I did not think I would see this movie and say to myself, wow, they wasted Charlie Day, who had nothing to do in this movie.
I think they wasted Charlie Day, but I don't think that has anything to do with the princess. They just
They've had him be the one that had to be saved. And so he had nothing to do.
Well,
he was in a cage the whole movie.
the solution to that wouldn't have been making it the princess. The solution would have been just to find a different fucking story.
Oh, sure. But the point is like, that was the biggest shock to me. Because you started off with the premise. I'm going to put screenwriter hat on. The whole point of that dinner scene in the beginning was to establish doubt that Mario wasn't doing the right things, quitting his job with Foreman Spike. He was dragging his brother, literally said, the father says, you are dragging your brother down with him.
Yeah.
So that puts in my mind, wow, that's kind of deep for a Mario movie. Are they going to question, is Mario really sending his brother down this weird life path? Is Luigi going to question that? And then they're going to work throughout the movie to work through that. None of that happens at all. None of it. And that to me was sort of like, if that was a Pixar movie, they would have really leaned into that shit, that adults can get behind that message.
Well,
And
sure.
That was not in the movie at all. That was a huge miss to me. I couldn't believe that they didn't go back to that. They played it lip service, but the brothers worked together at the end.
Well, they brought it back together at the end.
But it wasn't earned. It was just, they just did it. And I was just like, what? What just happened there? You had a nice setup and you abandoned it. It was just so weird.
My understanding was that they all recorded their lines. Like a lot of what was recorded was done separately and without context because they didn't want them leaking stuff, which explains why some certain parts come off as better than others. Like
in terms of delivery,
because there's that part where Toad is like, "That's my best friend," and it comes off way more sincere than the
earlier lines. You mean?
Yeah, like the moment calls for. It's when he's I think fighting Donkey Kong or something like that, and it's just. Some of this stuff seems really... The performances were good, but I think my big nitpick when I look back was just there wasn't much performance.
No, there wasn't.
Charlie Day was not in it nearly at all.
Toad just said, hey, we're going on our way, let's go!
Toad's voice was great. The fact that they did not let Keegan-Michael Key wisecrack and mouth off a little was a huge...
why cast him? Just cast anyone else at that point.
Right. Why pick someone who can do that voice so well and is going to be funny and not let them be funny?
And they're modulating the voices, obviously.
Well, sure. But I'm just saying, someone who fits that character as well as he does, and they don't let him do it.
Toad had no character arc. The princess didn't have really a character arc. She was always just there. Mario kind of had a character arc, but not really. He was just saving the day. Mario was portrayed as always being the guy that gets stuff done. Luigi, you failed to have... Luigi's big moment at the end was saving Mario with the lid.
Yeah.
But you didn't build up to the fact that they should have showed him failing to do things earlier throughout the movie to establish that, hey, he's a scaredy cat. He won't do this. That's why I said it's not earned. We know that the character is supposed to be like a scaredy cat character because we know the games.
Sure.
You're not supposed to write it that way. You're supposed to show that throughout the film, and it doesn't happen.
And that's...
It's a failure. It's like these are simple, basic storytelling things that they didn't do.
It's a failure, but they did not care. And the reason they did not care is, again, because... They wanted to squeeze in as many references and scenes as possible. They had to get in a haunted forest. They had to get in Bowser's Castle. They had to get Mario Land in. They had to get all of that stuff in. And then Nintendo, it's not a failing so much as it was just an active choice. I'm not saying it's good, but it was an active choice. They didn't do any character building because...
That wasn't what they wanted to do.
They didn't, because they don't need to do character building for it. It would have made it a better movie. Absolutely.
Sure.
But they don't need to do character building for a Mario movie. They know everyone's going to sit down. They're going to know who these main characters are. So it's starting pistol and off to the races.
True, but you're not going to have... You're always going to have people that see the sequels, but... The reason why Toy Story, they're making a fifth Toy Story, and that's almost 30 years later, because those are awesome fucking movies that adults love, that the themes are also for adults and can get behind. And people like cry watching those movies. And I'm not saying every movie has to be to that level, but you can aspire to it. And now I'll get to the Donkey Kong and the Donkey Kong people or apes in this movie. The only reason they were in the movie was they gave it 2 action scenes in the middle of the movie to get the fight and the Mario Kart race, which were amazing scenes.
Oh, they're fun to watch.
Do nothing for the narrative at all.
No.
Donkey Kong does nothing in the movie. There's no arc at all except, oh, my father wants me to be something I'm not. Like, it was just playing lip service to something. And plus, Seth Rogen didn't bother to do a voice. I thought that was just funny. He was the only one who didn't try to do like any sort of voice.
I felt like, well, I felt like his voice was fine for it. But yes, again, it didn't do anything for it. But like I said, it's just the whole thing was done for spectacle. It was it was a one. I mean, someone online, one of my friends now, I can't remember who. Daria maybe said, of course, these movies at the end of the day, it's either going to be something completely different than what the video game is, or it's going to play out like an hour and a half long commercial for a video game. And at the end of the day, I don't want to sound cynical, because I did enjoy my time at the movie, but that was an hour and a half long commercial from Mario and Mario properties.
I don't know. That's the thing. It's like we know the game so much. I would love to get, honestly, an adult that is not into the lore, or even kids don't care. They're going to see anything shiny. I would love to get the opinion of someone who doesn't know the games. Be like, what did you think of the characters of what you just watched, not knowing any of the games or the backstory?
Yeah, but the problem is how many people like that exist at this point.
There's some. We could find adults.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying most people know Mario, and I think it's going to be tough to find someone who went into it blind without any preconceived notion as to how the characters were going to be.
I think you'd be able. I think you'd find some people. We're nerds that know about.
No, this. I know. I mean, that's always the case. But the recognition of Mario is up there at this point with Ronald McDonald and Mickey Mouse.
My poker buddies probably they know about the games. Sure. But they don't. They played like probably their last Mario game in the 90s.
Okay, you know what I mean? No one our age. I'm saying current.
No, are my age. No, these are guys my age that are
that's right, because we're 40.
I'm saying they exist. Get outside your geek bubble.
Well, usually I do. I just feel like Mario is well known enough that people are largely going to have a notion.
But I did love the throwback to the Super Mario Brothers cartoon and establish that they're in Brooklyn, because that's how it should be. They're not just weird people in the Mushroom Kingdom like that. I love that. So I love they alluded to the fact that maybe Princess Peach comes from our universe or another universe with humans who says, "Oh, you're humans like me," and it's like, yes. Thank you for acknowledging that it's fucking weird that you're a human in charge of all these mushroom people. That was always weird. It's like, I'm glad they acknowledged some of this stuff. I'm like,
there were some really cute references, like when Mario's on Rainbow Road and he jumps off the side, the classic shortcut from the N64 game. Like like I said, lots of nitpicks here. I enjoyed it. I liked the movie.
I enjoyed it. But
go see it. But it could have.
It's not going to be a classic.
It could have been more had they wanted it to be more. There was an active choice to make this a Mario Blitz.
Yes. And by the way, one of our friends saw an early cut. And they told me the Luma character was darker than what they ended up. They cut out it. So yeah.
Really?
And this was fucking dark. It was hysterical. I was laughing at it. Yes. It was hysterical, but basically a character wishing to, for death and to be tortured. That's a little dark for a children's thing. But I love the Charles Martinet stuff. I love the fact they put Jumpman in. Will there be, obviously they set up a sequel with the credit scene with the Yoshi egg in our world, which is interesting.
Oh wait, there was a post credit scene?
Yeah, with the Yoshi egg.
I didn't see the post.
Yeah, they go back they go back to the sewer, and it must have came in our world when everything else came in, and the little Yoshi egg starts to crack.
I mean, they show Yoshi eggs during the
they show Yoshis running along,
that's right, they do.
But not the Yoshi.
No.
There's the proper Yoshi and all the other Yoshis.
The other Yoshis. The lowercase Yoshis.
With the Donkey Kong stuff, though, to me is just so weird, just because unless you're going to do a spin-off Donkey Kong movie, you can't spend half your movie with the Donkey Kongs because it's just a waste of time. But maybe they couldn't think of anything else to do on the journey. There wasn't like random encounters with creatures from the games, except for briefly. And so it really was strange. It's like,
if it had focused just on Mario, there would have been a lot more breathing room.
Yeah.
And without bringing it, but Nintendo, this is just a Nintendo thing. Nintendo has been, further and further blurring the lines between Donkey Kong and Mario forever.
Yeah, like now the Donkey Kongs exist in the universe, but it's like you never thought of that before that happening. Where was this scene? Like when I was watching them, like where's that scene when they're all just traveling around and they get accosted by a bunch of Goombas and they have to fight their way out of it? Like just a little 2-minute scene, like where they work together. With,
Yes.
Like where's Toad whacking a Goomba with the frying pan? I'm like, and
There,
where's,
there
like,
was there was absolutely no breathing room in the movie. There was no room for the characters to stretch out.
That's what I mean. Like there was Toad never had a moment in the movie.
No.
He did not. He was the guide.
Yep.
For the audience. Hey, welcome to the Mushroom Kingdom. Here we go. Jump on the platforms. And it's like literally Toad does nothing in the last 20 minutes of the movie. The character disappears.
Yeah.
Until like at the end, hey, there's Toad. So I was like, I think, like I said, I enjoyed it, but I could not look past some of these things because the Pixar movies don't make these mistakes. They just don't.
Sure.
Disney stuff, they don't make these mistakes. Even for kids, they plot out arcs for these characters, and they have it's a video game movie though. People say I'm crazy, but I for something that this was a once in a lifetime experience for everyone, I wanted this to be the best it could have been. I just wanted it to be because it hit me with nostalgia. It did.
Sure. I think that was also people know how I feel about nostalgia, and I get
it's a poison.
I get kind of offended when it's so like obviously that's what they're going for, but I felt like they worked a lot of it in ways that was decent.
Yes, the platforming section in the beginning of the movie showed Mario doing parkour, Castle Burgers, flagpole. I'm like, all right, you got me.
I also like that too because it was kind of a nod to like all that Kaizo crazy impossible Mario shit where like they have to like it was the super hard level, the training course.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
It's a lot like those ROM hacks. I mean, no Mario level is naturally that difficult.
I didn't take it like that. I just saw it as like they're working in real life stuff like the wood plank goes down.
Yeah, that too.
Hop the fence and stuff like that. But the Castle Burger thing, I'm like, okay, you worked that in. And obviously the musical
Castle Burger
was Castle Burger. The flagpole said Castle Burger.
Oh, okay.
It was shaped like a castle.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got like the little Toad joke. Hey, the princess ain't here. What are we talking about, princess here? So they worked in that joke. So it's like they worked in enough of that. See, that stuff I loved. I was like, oh, they worked it in a cute way.
Yeah.
But like the whole story, it just falls apart. There's just not a lot there.
At the end of the day, kids will enjoy it. I didn't hate it. It was fun, but yeah, it's
6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10.
It's like making a dinner out of cotton candy. It's just not a lot of substance there.
A little bit's good, but too much gets you sick.
You're never going to get full. You'll never feel satiated.